Learn Japanese history.
We are your navigators, Taro and Hanako.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into a really fascinating period looking at, well, how things were actually made and grown in Japan back then.
Yeah, it's like getting a peek behind the curtain, isn't it? Into the workshops, the fields, seeing how innovation really shaped daily life, the economy.
Exactly. We'll explore how farming and industry really started to flourish and how that led to some famous local specialties we might even recognize today.
You might be surprised by some of the details on farming techniques, craftsmanship.
And even where some well-known products got their start. Okay, let's jump in.
So right off the bat, what's striking is this very conscious push to develop more land for farming.
You mean it wasn't just happening organically?
Not entirely. The shogunate, the government, and the various domains, they were actively promoting new rice paddy development.
Ah, okay. So top-down encouragement.
And we're not talking small plots. Some of these were huge irrigation projects. Think of the Shianji-Yara paddy in Echigo, for example.
Right. And I heard it wasn't just the authorities pushing this. Farmers themselves and then even merchants got involved.
Precisely.
Mm.
Initially, it might have been wealthier farmers leading the charge,
Yeah.
but then you get this really interesting shift. Merchants started investing capital.
Merchants investing in farmland development.
Yeah, this system called Machine Utioi Shinden. Basically, merchants contracting to develop new rice fields.
Mm.
It shows their growing economic influence, you know.
That's a really different way of thinking about agricultural expansion.
It is, and these waterworks projects were just essential. You've got the Tamagawa Aqueduct near Edo.
Supplying Musashino, right?
Exactly. And the Mnuma Substitute Canal, too. And even the Hakone Aqueduct, bringing water all the way from Lake Ashi over to Suruga.
Wow. The scale of engineering.
Yeah.
It's hard to even picture.
Absolutely. Huge undertakings. But, you know, more land was just one piece of the puzzle.
They were getting smarter about how they farmed, too, weren't they?
Definitely. Improving the crops themselves, using fertilizers more effectively,
Mm-hmm.
understanding the soil better. But the tools, that's where you see some really clever innovations that made a big difference.
Like what kind of tools?
Well, take the hoe. There was the standard flat hoe, the hiragwa, but then came the bichugwa.
From Bichu province.
That's the one. And the key difference was its design allowed for much deeper plowing.
Deeper plowing. So better soil preparation.
Exactly. More efficient tilling. It sounds like a small change, but it had a big impact on productivity.
It's often those simple-seeming tweaks that make the biggest difference, isn't it?
It really is. And then there were the water wheels for irrigation.
Yes, I saw images of those. The Ryukosha, the dragon bone wheel.
Yeah, that one came over from China, used mainly in the Kenai region, late 17th century. It was, well, pretty
Oh,
sophisticated.
maybe complex or expensive.
Perhaps, because the one that really spread widely later, from the mid-18th century, was the Fumiguruma.
The treadmill one, powered by foot.
That's it. Much
Wow.
simpler, more accessible. You can just imagine farmers stepping away on those things to lift water.
A very practical solution.
And think about harvesting rice. Threshing used to be done by hand, painstakingly pulling the grains off.
Sounds incredibly slow.
It was. But then, around the late 17th, early 18th century, they started using the kokiboshi.
The threshing flail.
Right, basically beating the grain out much, much faster. Efficiency was really the name of the game.
So more land, better tools, more efficiency. It all adds up.
It really does.
Yeah.
And this increased productivity had another interesting effect.
Oh, what was that?
Well, farmers traditionally paid their taxes in rice, but now they started getting the option to pay in money instead.
Oh, okay. So they could sell their surplus.
Exactly. And that created a huge incentive to grow crops, specifically for sale cash crops.
Like what sort of things?
Things like tobacco became popular,
Mhm.
mulberry for silkworms, and hemp for making cloth.
Materials for clothing, right?
Yeah. And also crops for oil, like rapeseed and Egoma perilla used for lamp oil.
So diversification, not just rice anymore.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And near the big cities, vegetable farming just exploded to feed the urban populations.
It makes sense. A whole market opening up.
And knowledge spread, too. There were these amazing agricultural manuals published.
Like that famous one, Nogyo Zensho.
Precisely. Miyazaki Yasusada's Complete Book of Agriculture, late 17th century. He'd traveled all over, surveying different regional techniques.
So he compiled all the best practices.
Pretty much. It was like a textbook for farmers, helping spread effective methods and boosting productivity even further. A really vital resource.
Incredible. Okay, so agriculture is booming, diversifying. What about other areas like fishing or mining?
Well, Japan's an island nation, so fishing was always important.
Mm.
But during this period, you see the development and spread of more effective net fishing techniques.
Ah, so catching more fish more efficiently.
Right. And whaling, which had started in Kii Province, also began to spread.
And did certain areas become known for specific types of fish?
Oh, absolutely. Tosa was famous for its bonito, the Goto Islands for tuna, Kyushu's Chikuo Coast for huge sardine catches. Regional specialization was key.
Makes sense. And salt, always essential.
Indeed. The Seto Inland Sea region was the main producer, supplying salt across the country. A really fundamental industry.
Okay, so the sea was providing a lot. What about resources from underground? Mining.
Mining was very active, too. You had major gold mines, like on Sato Island and in Izu,
Famous ones.
and silver mines, Uwami Omori, Tajima Ikuno, were big producers. And copper was crucial, too, from places like Beshi in Iyo and Ashio in Shimotsuke.
So metals were being extracted in significant quantities, fueling the economy, I suppose?
Absolutely. Providing materials for tools, for currency, for crafts.
Yeah.
Really underpinning a lot of the development.
Right, so we've got farming advancing, fishing thriving, mining operations going strong. It feels like the stage is set for more specialized production, doesn't it?
That's exactly what happens next. You see a shift in handicrafts. It moves away from just being something done within a farming household for its own needs.
Sort of self-sufficiency.
Right. It moves towards production by specialized artisans, often in towns or cities, making goods for a wider market.
And that's where we start seeing famous local products emerge.
Precisely. This is the birthplace of many regional specialties.
Textiles seem like a huge area here. Cotton, for instance.
Cotton was a game changer. After the Sengoku period, its cultivation really spread. It made cotton and linen fabrics much more common and affordable for clothing.
Where was cotton weaving particularly strong?
Well, naturally, in areas where they grow a lot of cotton, provinces like Kawachi, Owari, Mikawa became major centers for cotton textiles.
And other fabrics.
You had places like Echigo, known for producing aoso, that's a type of bast fiber like linen or hemp. They specialized in making chijini, a crepe fabric, and sarashi, which is bleached cloth.
Different materials, different specializations. What about silk? That was always high status, right?
Yes, and Niishijin in Kyoto was the absolute pinnacle for high-quality silk weaving. Initially, they relied heavily on imported raw silk.
Imported, so not produced domestically.
Not as much at first, yeah. But during the 18th century, domestic raw silk production increased quite a bit.
Ah, so they started making more of their own silk thread.
Exactly. And the advanced weaving techniques from Niishijin started to spread to other regions, too. Places like Kiryu in the Kanto area developed their own significant silk weaving industries.
So knowledge and skills moving around, leading to new centers of production.
It's a classic pattern of technological diffusion and regional economic development.
Fascinating. Okay, textiles. What about drinks? Sake comes to mind.
Ah, sake. Yes, a really important development happened there, too, in the early modern period.
Which was?
The invention of techniques to produce clear sake, seishu. Before that, most sake was cloudy nigarizak.
So this is the origin of the clear sake we mostly see today?
Pretty much, yes.
Huh?
And specific regions became famous for mastering this clear brewing. Fushimi, Ikeda, Nara, Itami. They became the renowned production centers.
The big names in sake even now.
Many of them trace their roots back to this period.
Amazing. Any other standout regional products from this time?
Well, paper was important. Mino and Eijin were famous for high-quality paper production.
Washi paper, right.
Yes. And ceramics, pottery. Areas with good quality clay, like Seto, Kutani, and Arita, started producing ceramics in large quantities.
Not just for local use, I assume.
No, these became significant trade goods. Some Arita ware, for instance, was even exported.
Wow. Now, going back to the clear sake, I heard there's quite a specific story about how that method was developed.
There is. It's a great little piece of history. The method, using ash for clarification, the Haizumisho method,
Right.
it seems to have been developed around the end of the 16th century, near Itami in Setsu Province,
By whom?
by a man named Yamanaka Shinroku from Kanoik Village. And he apparently had quite the backstory.
Ah,
Claimed to be the son of a famous samurai.
really? Yamanaka Shikanose.
That's the one, loyal retainer of the Imago clan.
Yeah.
But Shinroku supposedly gave up the samurai life to become a sake brewer,
From samurai to brewer, that's quite a shift.
isn't it? He established his brewery, Kanoikia, and apparently his clear sake was a hit.
How do we know?
Well, the story goes that in 1599, he shipped 2 big casks of it all the way to Edo.
To the capital.
Yes. and it was apparently very well received. People loved it. So he expanded, set up operations in Osaka too.
Smart move.
And he didn't stop there. Around 1624, he diversified into shipping. He started transporting his own sake to Edo by sea.
Cutting out the middleman.
Seems like it.
Hmm.
And on the return journey, his ships would carry goods for various daimyo, the regional lords.
So logistics and transport, too.
Exactly. And this Kanoikeya business, born from brewing, actually grew and later evolved into a major money exchange house.
No way. From sake brewing to finance.
It's quite the trajectory. And this demand for clear sake led to regular shipping routes between Osaka and Edo, using special ships called tarikes and cask ships just for transporting sake.
That's incredible. One innovation in brewing having such wide-ranging economic ripples.
It really shows how interconnected everything was becoming.
Absolutely. So looking back at this whole period, it's just so dynamic, isn't it?
It really is. You have these clever farming techniques, the rise of cash crops, booming fisheries and mines.
Leading to specialized crafts, famous regional brands like the Clear Sake. It feels like a period of real economic and technological progress.
Definitely. You can clearly see how ingenuity, combined with, sharing knowledge across different regions, really built a more diverse and, frankly, more vibrant society.
Okay, so here's something to really chew on. We've talked about all this innovation, new tools, new methods. How much do you think the limitations of the time, the available resources, actually spurred that creativity?
That's a fascinating question. Did constraints actually force more ingenious problem solving?
Yeah. And thinking about today, what modern challenges, maybe resource scarcity or other limitations we face now, could actually benefit from that same kind of resourceful, inventive mindset they had back then?
Makes you wonder how that spirit of innovation, born partly out of necessity perhaps, still echoes or maybe should echo more in how we approach problems today. Something to think about.